Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the Commission. I don't usually clear the room until after I speak. My name is Craig Kessler. I serve as the Director of Governmental Affairs for the Southern California Golf Association, appearing today on behalf of the much larger California Alliance for Golf, of which the Southern California Golf Association is but a small part. For many, many years now, for at least as long as you've been operating since 1991, the golf industry has done its best to adopt all kinds of best management practices with respect to environmental stewardship, particularly with respect to water use, but a component of that is integrated pest management, and a smaller component of that has been fish stocking on water elements on golf courses for the purposes of controlling grasses, controlling insects. It's not required by the law, but it's better from our perspective. We've tried to educate our industry with respect to in lieu of herbicides and pesticides. Now, unlike so many of the other speakers, the golf industry is certainly not going to go out of business and not going to suffer a great deal of hurt if these regulations are passed, because the species primarily that our industry uses is the grass carp. But if the experience of everyone else is the same as our experience has been in trying to get permitting for the grass carp, it isn't so much the regulation, the specifics, or the onerousness. It's the fact that in the modern day and age, the department does not have sufficient personnel to execute its own regulations. And we have testimony from scores, if not hundreds, of superintendents around this state that de facto it's almost impossible to stock grass carp. So our worry would be, as this moves down the phasing, that at some point some of those species that are on the list might become available to the golf industry to use as part of those best environmental practices. And I want you to take into consideration as you move forward that, just as Commissioner Bayless said, there are a lot of stakeholders involved in this process that didn't think they were involved in this process until a matter of a few months ago, because we are impacted by this, but the impact is not as visceral as perhaps the fishing industry itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler.
This time I had it off. Philip Long, Tim Goodson, Rita Costantino, Rob Ross. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. My name is Philip Long. I speak Chinese, English, Vietnamese, Mandarin, Cantonese, and I represent fish hauler wholesalers, grocery store, fish markets, consumers, and farm workers rely on fresh fish in California. We just joined the coalition in the last 2 weeks after reviewing all the possible consequences of the proposed regulation. We have a lot of thoughts about this proposed regulation and consider it's a very serious matter, which make my trip here today. I've been up since 3:30 in the morning. We believe that the proposed regulation seriously threatens the availability of the live fish in California. The regulation will have large impacts on our traditional, our culture, our social, economic sector throughout California. The regulation will impact dietary health, obesity, heart disease, which we cannot take any more risk lowering the live fish in California availability in the market for us to buy. Also, there will be foreseeable effects that it will slow down any economic recovery by forcing business to lay off workers or shut down completely. Most of our people are first and second generation Asian Hispanic Americans. Both our parents work hard.
Please just wrap up. Thank you.
Yeah, to be here today. And I have spent a lot of time get signature need to hundreds of signature, and For all the real reason, foreseeable effects, Honorable Commissioner, please vote no.
Thank you, Mr. Long. For everyone's benefit, please keep in mind that the Commission encourages written submissions. So if you have anything that you wish to submit to us, email or snail mail. These days it may be more than snail. What's that? I don't even know what it is. Please do, because these comments are in the record, in the digital record, but the other comments will go into the record as well. So please do submit those things. I realize that for a gentleman who got up at 3:30 in the morning, 2 minutes may seem very frustrating, and I understand that, having been in that same position myself in my years past. That is not your final word. Please do give us written submission. Please, sir.
Hello, my name is Tim Goodson, and I'm owner of Calaveras Trout Farm. I'm the second largest producer of trout privately in California. I employ 15 people. 95% of my business is in the 37 counties that's exempt. My business has been in Calaveras Trout Farm has been in business since 1968. I bought this thing in 2001 under the assumption that the commission and all the rules would stay the same. If these rules go into effect, it'll put me out of business. Plain and simple. It's family operated. We're in Merced County. Our unemployment rate is 30%. It will detriment everybody that works for me. We will not be in. If you put these regulations in, we do numerous events for kids and other things. They cannot afford these stocking permits to do these things. We donate half of the fish to these events already. We do not have the money that the department has to do all this stuff. We can't do it. We cannot no longer sustain any more cost to our organization. We're in a depressed economy now. I'd appreciate you guys turning this down. We oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Rita Costantino, Julia Peterson, Rob Ross, Cindy Krug.
Good afternoon. My name is Rita Costantino, and I take great pride in being third-generation Californian. This is a very emotional issue for me, both personally and professionally. I have worked for Maurice Sporting Goods for over the past 20 years. Maurice Sporting Goods is a family-owned company. We have been in business since 1923. We are the largest sporting goods distributor in North America and perhaps in the world. The backbone and heritage of our company is in the fishing tackle business. Our largest business market is the state of California. We employ over 30 people to service our California accounts. We ship to over 1,500 brick-and-mortar retailers. This includes companies as large as Big Five, Walmart, Kmart, specialty stores such as Sport Chalet, club stores such as Costco, and drug channels such as Rite Aid and Raley's. We also ship, of course, to the traditional mom and pops, the thousands throughout the state of California that depend on fishing for the livelihood of themselves and their families. Our average customer devotes at least 4 people to maintain the fishing department, which equals approximately 6,000 jobs to support retail in the fishing tackle business. This is just in the accounts we service. There are many more retailers out there that go through other distributors. In California, the fishing and camping businesses have long attracted people from across the country. While Florida may sell more fishing licenses, that sounds like Florida, their business is dependent primarily on the private boating business, people with discretionary income. California offers a variety of affordable fishing, both in fishing and salt. Oh, I talked too fast. People from across the country and the world come to California to enjoy our national resources. Fishing and camping have long been with our national parks, with lakes and rivers. Most people go camping with their primary activity and fishing as their secondary activity. It is truly the family vacation. We depend on these lakes and rivers to be stocked to enhance the fishing experience. It is actually an unknown how much the new fishing regulations will also affect the camping business, which is an even larger business unit than the fishing business. We will force all Californians to go out of state to enjoy fishing and to tell out-of-staters not to come here because there are no fish to be caught, and if there are, beware, it will be expensive.
Please wrap it up.
Okay, in closing, I would like to say that I have been in this business for over 30 years. I've always taken pride in the fact that I get to sell fishing tackle, I get to sell items that enhance the quality of someone's experience. We could always say we could work for Home Depot and sell nuts and bolts, but we actually have the opportunity to sell things to enhance people's quality of life. We already have distractions such as video games and TV. It is hard enough to get kids outside today as it is. Changing the regulations and increasing costs will only keep more kids inside. The great California outdoors is truly a gift, and we need to keep it affordable and accessible to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julia Peterson, last call. Rob Ross.
Wait, there she is.
Okay.
My name is Julia Peterson, and I've worked for Maurice Sporting Goods for 13 years. Maurice is a family-owned fishing tackle distributor, and as a district manager, I supervise 10 territory managers and 12 field reps in California. Our jobs in the fishing tackle industry have helped feed, clothe, and shelter more than 45 children and contribute to the welfare of 15 grandchildren. My team and I call on over 1,200 stores across the state. At each location, we talk to at least one, and more often several, Californians who are employed and supporting themselves and their families, all or in part through the fishing industry. To keep us working and our children thriving, we rely on the sale of fishing tackle, and therefore the availability of fisheries for the people of California. Causing closure of those fisheries is detrimental to our ability to support ourselves and our children. I'm also a fisherman, as are most of the people that I worked with and interact with every day. I was born in San Francisco, and my dad took me fishing and from a young age up in Northern California. I have memories still of sitting on the dock with my dad, telling him my dreams of catching a giant sturgeon, and they're still vivid 45 years later. My dad died 20 years ago. Last Father's Day, I was running in San Diego, and I ran past a young boy catching a fish using one of the products that we sell to many of the retailers here in San Diego. I stopped to talk to Mateo and his dad, and Richard told me that they don't get a chance to get out fishing much, but Mateo said he was having a great Father's Day. I took a picture of them, and I sent it to my team to exemplify another reward from our hard work, and that's our contribution to the lasting memories of adults and children all over California, and sometimes those just visiting our great state. We Californians have struggled financially, and in this difficult economy bear higher than average gas prices, unprecedented unemployment, and plummeting property values. I'm speaking out today because I cannot stand idly by while the right to earn a living, support our families, provide healthy activity, and create lasting memories is taken away through regulation that's unfair and unnecessary. Please don't take away our livelihood, our hobby, or our ability to literally feed our families.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Rob Ross, Cindy Krug, Bruce Dormady, and Nick Miram.
Mr. President, members, Rob Ross on behalf of the California Aquaculture Association. It's important to be clear what we want you to do. We want you to reject these regulations. We don't want you to continue them to February. We would like to see a rejection. They're not necessary. Existing law provides comprehensive regulation of the industry. They're cost prohibitive. They're complicated. It's a compliance nightmare, and it's going to be subjected to enforcement that will be erratic. And they will reduce or eliminate the incentive to invest and expand and to create more jobs, tax revenue, innovation, capital investment, food production, fishing opportunities for kids and families, habitat on private lands, fishing opportunities by city and county and special districts, opportunities to foster appreciation for fishing in the environment and reduce easy access for the aged and disabled. It'll affect the travel and tourism industry and the associated benefits to our economy therefrom. habitat that is essential to numerous species, including reptiles, amphibians, waterfowl, mammals, and birds. And I think it's important for you to know that the department did not collaborate with industry while developing the proposed stocking regulations. They skirted the Aquaculture Development Committee established by statute to advise the department on these issues. They ignored completely the then aquaculture coordinator established by statute to assist the industry and the department and this commission that they were working on draconian regulations reaching with far-reaching ramifications. The department did not advise affected parties that you've heard from today, including recreational anglers, private landowners, and others, that they were hatching far-reaching and costly regulations. The department ignored current law that states that the Aquaculture Development Committee shall reduce regulations in the industry. Reduce. They're not doing that. DFG was compelled by the court to propose regulations only for state-operated hatcheries. We'd like an opportunity later to have our legal people respond to the question that you had with regard to that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Cindy Krug, Bruce Dormady, Nick Miram, and Brian Friedman. Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Cindy Krug. My husband and I own a 110-acre catfish farm in Bakersfield. And, you know, we're all here today because Fish and Game got sued over their trout stocking program. Well, I think that's pretty sad because that trout stocking program is what shaped my life. My memories from when I was 3, 4, 5 years old of my parents taking me fishing. That's when I fell in love with fish, and that's why I'm an aquaculturist today. And you know, although some people may have deemed their practices detrimental to some species, I think that what they did was extremely beneficial, and it enriched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm afraid if these new regulations are implemented, that private aquaculturists are not going to be able to continue. We're already burdened up to our gills, pardon the pun, with regulations and fees, and you know, you can just only take so much. So I want other kids to have the opportunity to catch fish like I did, and so I urge you to please oppose these proposed regulations.
Thank you, Ms. Krug.
Bruce Dormady, Nick Merriman, Brian Friedman, Doug Rickard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Bruce Dormady. I am representing my family, which has San Clemente Rancho in the Santa Lucia Mountains of Monterey County. We've operated Trout Lake for the last 50 years and been stocking ever since with annual permits from the Department of Fish and Game. And in the last few years, we've been getting more and more regulated. We went from a typical clerical permit. You'd file, you'd pay your $35. Within 2 to 3 days, you'd get a permit back, okay to stock the rainbow trout. The last stocking permit I received had 17 conditions on it, and it's just getting more and more. And then in 2010, we were denied our stocking permit based on the Appendix K protocol. Mr. Safford gave a nice little slide presentation of the supposed ease of which people can progress through this. My first question is, are these protocols, are these actual regulations that we should have been governed on in the first place, or were we wrongly denied our permit in 2010? After that, it's cost me about $67,000 to receive a temporary permit in 2011, and they are requiring me to do a tremendous project to our lake of segregating it with a floating boardwalk 600 feet long through our lake that has to be designed by engineers and then approved by Fish and Game staff engineers. Well, you take the proposal to Fish and Game staff engineers, he goes, wait a minute, this isn't even on my list of things to do. I'm dealing with huge dam projects, delta bypass projects. Until the Fish and Game tells me that this is a priority, I'm not even going to look at your project for 3 years. Well, what does that mean? I don't get to stock for 3 years until the Fish and Game staff is high enough to, in priority, to visit my project? Anyways, I think a little history has to be brought into this. Sorry. We've been doing this continuously for 50 years. White Rock above us has been doing it for 80 years. We have steelhead in our stream. We have red-legged frogs in our stream. to me, a reasonable person could look and say, hey, for 50 years, they're still here, they're thriving, they're doing well. What impact are we actually having on it? Or is it just some biologist's dream to get rid of all fishermen? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dormady. John?
Yeah.
Next speaker.
Are you Nick?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Commissioners, good afternoon. Nick Merman, California Association for Recreational Fishing. The first point I want to make is the plaintiffs never asked the judge to do anything with the private stocking program. The private stocking program was never an issue with the court, as evidenced by the court's final order, which I have right here. And line 23, 24, and 25, a peremptory writ of mandate shall issue directing respondent California Department Fish and Game to comply with the California Environmental Quality Act by preparing an environmental impact review in connection with its fish stocking program. Second point is you guys have received over 1,000 letters and emails regarding these regulations, and I'm sure you all had a chance to read all 1,000 of them. But if you didn't, we have a list right here of some of the more important organizations opposing these regulations. First off, the California Chamber of Commerce says the draft regulations are overly stringent and costly to implement on an ongoing basis. The trickle-down effect will be small Main Street businesses in more rural areas of the state will go under. The California Restaurant Association and the California Grocers Association believes if California hatcheries and fish farmers are put out of business, it will drive up consumer prices and cause some to purchase fish from other states and countries that do not share California's highest health and environmental standards. Some other organizations, the National Federation of Independent Business, the California Asian Chamber of Commerce, California Fisheries and Seafood Industry, Fort Bragg Trout Farm, Turner Outdoorsman, the Western Manufactured Housing Communities Association. Also, the following water districts and recreational districts have submitted letters of opposition. The Merced Irrigation District writes, these new regulations are unnecessary and illegal. Such regulations are likely to put small business owners who stock private lakes out of business, and thousands of jobs that rely on outdoor recreation and fishing will be lost. California's economy cannot afford this plan. Other water districts, the Orange County Water District, the Padre Dam Municipal Water District, Serrano Water District, City of Escondido, the Don Pedro Recreation Agency. The Don Pedro Recreation Agency is a subsidiary of the Modesto Irrigation District, Turlock Irrigation District, and the City and County of San Francisco. This is a very wide-ranging and broad coalition. We urge you to reject these regulations. Thank you.
Sir.
Brian Friedman, Doug Rickard, Paul Kramer, Sellers King. Go ahead, please.
President, Commissioner. My name is Brian Friedman. I am 27 years old. I am the CEO of a tackle company called Lip Rippers Inc. I started the company about 7 years ago from a dream, just a little kid growing up. Just met the right people and, enjoyed the industry since. My products can now be found in nearly every major sporting goods retailer on the West Coast, thanks to several of the distributors here and marketing groups. I'm here today because I strongly oppose the new regulations. The Department of Fish and Game is asking you to move forward. I see huge mistakes about to be made that will ultimately cost thousands their jobs, myself included in that, and further destroy recreational fishing as we know it. As a child, I enjoyed fishing with my family. From those experiences, basically shaped who I am today. A business owner in fishing tackle, family man, a friend to literally thousands of fishermen, all with the same passion for fishing I developed as a child. I know that if fishing was not an affordable and fun recreational activity, as it has been in the past, I would not be the entrepreneur today or the job creator I am. Because of these costly and unnecessary regulations, fishing will no longer be affordable, and people will seek other recreational activities to participate in. Recreational fishing will be gone, and thousands of jobs will be lost. What I'm asking is let's keep fishing affordable, as it once was for me. We are all working very hard to fulfill our dreams, and ask you not to crush them by moving forward with these unnecessary and overburdensome regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Doug Rickard, Paul Kramer, Sellers King, Todd Setzer. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon, President, Commission. My name is Doug Rickard. I'm operations manager with Rocky Mountain Recreation Company. We manage 14 locations, marina concessions management, campgrounds, and boat launch facilities throughout the state. We work with public agencies. The private stocking regulations proposed would greatly impact our business, loss of 200 plus jobs, reduced attendance, reduced license sales on site for Fish and Game, and also reduced revenue and service to the public agencies. We urge you to reject this proposed regulation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I assume you're an associate of Mr. Odell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Paul Kramer, Sellers King, Todd Setzer, Louis Zim.
Good afternoon. I'm Paul Kramer. I'm here on behalf of Star Milling Company. We've been a manufacturer of aquatic feeds to hatcheries in the state of California for up to 30 years. I'm also here as a member of the NFIB, as a member of their Leadership Council of California. This proposed legislation does not solve nor help anything. By requiring hatcheries, golf course irrigation ponds, private fishing lakes, backyard ponds, and just to name a few, to perform these studies on the existence of certain fish species can only harm an already burdened industry. The state of California, the businesses in it, are already forced to compete with outside states coming into the state, and the state of California, through regulation or legislation, is making it easier for states outside to come in and sell their products. Current health and safety regulations have given the industry some of the highest standards in the country, and there is no need to further regulate a $4.9 billion industry, which is revered for safety and quality in fish markets around the globe. It will also put unneeded pressure on an overburdened recreational business by requiring these reviews. These costs will force small business to close their doors or significantly reduce employment across the state. In Perris, California, Star Milling employs over 70 employees. A significant portion of our business is to aquatic feeds. That will affect our customers, shutting them down, and thus have an adverse effect on us. I can only ask, as a small business owner, a person that enjoys the outdoors and understands the steps needed to be taken to protect these spaces, that you look at these regulations and realize that they are overburdening on an already overburdened industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. I take it your associate is Ms. Gaglione?
That's correct.
Correct. Thank you.
Sellers King, Todd Setzer, Louis Zim, Robert Ennis.
Good afternoon. My name is Celeste King IV. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Congress of Racial Equality of California, a civil rights, human rights organization that until very recently had never even thought about the Fish and Game Commission. However, when we came across the situation with these regulations and we looked at it and realized what a quality of life issue it was in terms of how it was going to impact the communities of this state, we knew that we had to come and address this commission. We took a poll of our statewide organizational membership, and they are, unanimously opposed to these regulations for several reasons. I submitted a letter to this commission dated November 25th. I think that you have it in your records, and it kind of surmises that. In the meantime, I'd like to take a quick moment and say this. I listened to the wonderful orations of the department and their smoke and mirrors presentation, because that's exactly what it was. It circumvented so many of the things that are really, really imperative, that need to be looked at from a stakeholder and citizen's position in regard to these issues. You're getting ready to throw not thousands of people out of work, but tens of thousands of people out of work, maybe even hundreds, because of the ancillary effects of it. Also, when you look at it and you realize that one of the main things that's involved here is you are going to increase the cost to the consumer at the grocery store. in today's economy that you can't afford it. The other thing is this, that this state recently has had a tremendous impact on the counties of this state by pushing its responsibilities down to the counties and creating onerous burdens on the counties. This regulation program will increase that burden. Many of these rural counties cannot afford it, and their whole livelihood is predicated upon, this particular industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Todd Setzer. Mr. Setzer has time ceded to him. How much time should we allow?
4.
Mr. Setzer is here? Not here? Mr. Card's
0.
retired. Louis Zim, Robert Ennis, Morty Kay, Tony Smock.
Commissioners, Louis Zim from the San Diego Yacht Club and also the San Diego Fly Fishers. I wish to draw your attention to part of this effort that the Fish and Game staff has proceeded on. On paragraph 4, it advises remove the subsection 238.5F exception for the purposes of mosquito control. This would require a private stocking permit to plant mosquito fish throughout the state. I hope that the Fish and Game Commission has some idea of the cause and effect of malaria and West Nile virus and the potential impact that might have on the citizens of San Diego County in California and the impact on birds, small rodents, and horses. Birds are the primary blood meal for mosquitoes and are often linked in the life cycle of blood-borne parasites and diseases. Mosquito fish protect baby birds, small mammals, and horses, as well as humans. Humans are the incidental host. Many of us, in addition to being fishermen, are also avid outdoorsmen and outdoors women. I may point out my wife, who is presently getting home, I hope, from golfing, relies on mosquito fish to protect herself from vectors from mosquito bites. These kind of things are far-ranging and impact on the population of California far beyond what we originally envisioned in this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zim.
Robert Ennis, Morty Kay, Tony Smock, and Paul Weekland.
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Robert Ennis. I'm here on behalf of the Orange County Water District and the 2.4 million residents we serve in North and Central Orange County. I would like to express our opposition to the proposed regulations, which will negatively impact our operation and our business relationships, existing business relationships. The district believes the regulations are unreasonable, unnecessary, and obviously unduly burdensome. The fish currently stocked in the lakes that we lease out to the Elliots have existed in the local ecosystem without any negative impacts for decades, and stocking is only done to replenish the fish that are harvested by lake visitors. The district has leased these facilities for approximately 30 years or over 30 years, and that relationship has greatly benefited our friends and families in the community. And we'd like to continue those relationships, obviously. Now, considering what your staff said earlier regarding their legal understanding and their legal obligation, I would respectfully recommend that you reject the staff recommendation to consider removing the exemption during your March meeting and direct staff to work with the Pacific Legal Foundation and work with the attorneys at the Pacific Legal Foundation to resolve the central issue of law, which is whether or not the department has a mandate to conduct these kind of regulations and do this. And also, simultaneously, I would recommend that you direct staff to work with the stakeholders. It's clear from the meeting that the stakeholders in the industry, the recreational fishing industry, has not had sufficient input on these proposed regulations, and we respectfully recommend that you do both actions to make sure that you have the authority to do this, and also, if you do, that everyone involved and everyone who could be impacted would be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ennis.
Morty Kay, Tony Smock, Paul Weekland, Ken Beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Morty Kay. I'm an ecology-minded conservationist and a fisherman. First, Commissioner Rogers, I hope your wife is doing well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Kind of you.
Trout Unlimited, with over 140,000 members nationwide, has sponsored many trout and salmon stockings all across America, almost all of them done without environmental impact reports. Trout Unlimited writes that stock trout are a valuable resource, contributing many tens of millions of dollars to local economies. The EIR regulations would require a permit to place a new koi carp in an existing koi carp pond or goldfish in a goldfish aquarium. Requiring a sport fishing license to fish in privately owned waters, this regulation would require a sport fishing license to take the koi carp out of the koi carp pond or the goldfish out of the aquarium. Of course, unless you're under 16, then you wouldn't need a license at all. I believe the basis for these two groups of regulations were originally conceived and promoted by elitist groups to further their own misguided interests. Listed among the Department of Fish and Game's 7 strategic initiatives future implementation, the department writes, to meet the goals of improving our statutory and regulatory structure and related programs, the DFG must fund or dump unfunded mandates. I hope we have the funds for this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.